All right, the next question from the audience. In the past week, the Flagpole and White House have both released reports about the pressing issue of sexual assault in our culture, especially in college towns like ours. What, if anything, will you do in the next 4 years to address sexual assault in Athens? And candidate Denson, I believe you're first this time.
This is one of those things that when we first made our platform, the sheet that the mayor told about, and I think that most of you guys probably got one of these. I don't think the mayor has a platform sheet, but I don't have hers, but you can please look through ours and see everything we have on ours. We created this platform by doing hundreds of interviews and surveys throughout our community. I went to Winterville with my staff. We did the east side, we did the west side, we did Timothy Row, we did Boulevard, we did 5 Points, we went everywhere. And did hundreds of these things and asked people, what are the concerns that you see in your community? What are the problems? What are the priorities that we should be addressing as a county government? And these are the results that we got here. I brought in, obviously, my own personal beliefs and my staff's and other people that I talked to. But those surveys and those interviews, that's how we got this platform. And I'm proud of this platform. This platform is something that I see as a true representation of the future that we can have for Athens Clarke County. One of the things that came up often, actually the number one thing on the list that we had a list of, I think, 25 different things. Number one thing was sexual assault prevention. And so we looked at this, how could we do this? We wanted to create, this is something the federal government did about 2 years ago, I believe, and the results just came out today. They created a sexual assault prevention task force, a task force that worked on preventing sexual assault. Not trying to deal with the consequences of it after it already happened, but trying to prevent it from happening in the first place. And the task force that the federal government did was specifically based on college towns because you see a large increase in college communities exactly like Athens, Georgia here. So, and they actually said that they're going to be putting down a lot of requirements on universities that they're going to have to be meeting. If they don't meet these requirements, they'll actually lose federal funding. So this is going to be a high priority in the next couple of years. And I'm very happy to see that. But I want to make sure it's a high priority in Athens Clarke County as a local government also. So, and just to tell you about something, I know I went through these numbers a little bit here, but we had 16 reports of sexual assault happen at the University of Georgia last year. 16. The task force the federal government did, though, found out that only 12% of sexual assaults are actually reported. Therefore, if you do the math, you're looking at over 130 incidents of sexual assault here. That's actually just University of Georgia. That's not counting the rest of the residents here, the other 80,000 people here, including, the 46,000 people under poverty. So what we could be, that basically comes out to every 3 days on the university, every 3 days, a student is sexually assaulted. Every 3 days. And for some reason, when this was brought up in previous debates, my opponent didn't think this was high enough priority. She said that she thought that we already had groups that were doing enough. We're not doing enough. I met with those groups. I met with the college. I met with Project Safe. I met with Chief Lumpkin. I've talked to these individuals. They said this is something we need to be doing. It would be helping.
Thank you.
I don't know why my opponent thinks that it's not a high priority with me. I've been a supporter of Project Safe ever since its inception. And I mentioned tonight that of the positions that I funded in our budget are 18 positions that we're going to continue and fully fund with county money for violence against women employees. These are people in the police department. But we have police trained. We have the cottage where when a sexual assault occurs, that we have people specifically trained to deal with those victims of sexual assault. We have I wish I knew the answer to how to get guys to behave themselves and girls to behave themselves, so that we don't have these problems to begin with. But mostly what you have to do in government is deal with the results of it, because if you don't know about it, you can't deal with it. So a big part of what Project Safe does that I support, and one of the reasons that I gave them extra funding, is they have started a program where high school girls where there's telephone that you can call in to a lot of young girls don't even know what's inappropriate. And that goes all the way back to the Child Abuse Council, where we're teaching children what's appropriate behavior to them. You know, we have a program called Good Touch, Bad Touch for children to say, this is an appropriate thing for somebody to play, an inappropriate place for somebody to touch you. That's a bad touch. So it starts at the pre-kindergarten level, teaching children to respect themselves and to respect other people. So again, it's something that I've been working on for years. But a big part of it too is by example. You know, as the mayor of the community, you're not going to see me going out getting drunk. You're not going to see me going out partying to that extent. And I talk to young girls and say, you know, you've got to respect yourself and you've got to demand respect. And I talk to you guys and say, you've got to respect these young women. That's what I taught my sons. That's what I taught my daughters. I support the Project SAFE. I support our officers that are working with victims of sexual assault. I support our officers that are being trained to be sensitive to these areas. And I think we're doing a lot. Is it enough? It's never enough, as long as it's still happening.
Thank you. We have a 1-minute rebuttal.
Not only is it still happening, it's increasing. And we're not going to see a decrease when we are still dealing with victim blaming and when we're still realizing that the number one thing we have to do here is just make sure it's not happening, that we're preventing it, that people understand what consent is. We're creating a culture of consent. Consent isn't no means no. Consent is yes means yes. If you don't get that yes, it's not happening. And we need to make sure that our community understands this. And yeah, I don't know all the answers on how we do this either. And that's why we create a task force. That's why we bring in people from the college. That's why we bring in people from Project SAFE. That's why we bring in people from the university, from the police department, from bar owners, because alcohol definitely ends up playing a large role here, from residents of our community, from students who understand some of the situations that can be put to them. And we bring those people together, and they come up with the tactics. They figure out together the things that we could be doing to lower this. It's got to be happening. The numbers are increasing. Every 3 days. We could be doing more. I'm telling you right here how we could be doing more. Let's do it.
Thank you. There's a minute rebuttal.
It's absurd to even use the term of blame the victim. I'm a woman. I have 3 daughters, and there is absolutely no way that a woman is ever to blame for a sexual assault. I don't care what you do or how you behave. You are not to blame. But you also do need to demand respect and conduct yourself in a way that you can command that respect. And I think that's a message that we've got to give to our children, because when our young women go out and party and drink, and then they're walking home, and of course they have not consented, and you're not blaming the victim, but they're not in a emotional state that they can say no and make no stick. And so this is not blaming the victim. It's facing the reality of what is and what doesn't happen.
Thank you.